Tameside Radio Sports Talk with Betfred. Visit your local Betfred shop today for a variety of great offers and check out our app for great features like Pick Your Punt Builder. Whenever you bet, Betfred. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Oh, hello and welcome. This is Sports Talk with me, Lewis Connell, and as always, I'm joined by Peter Spencer from Betfred. How are you doing today, Peter?
Yeah, great. Thanks very much.
We'll start with the Premier League then. We'll start with that fantastic game on Saturday between Manchester City and Newcastle. It was a fantastic game, and obviously City nicking it at the end with that Oscar Bob goal.
Yeah, in a strange sort of way, it reminded me of United of all that, the way that they kept going right to the end, unlike United on Sunday, mind you, where the second half was appalling. But anyway, going on about City, what a performance that was. Absolutely tremendous. From the word go, they didn't look like they were going to lose that game. Even when they went behind, I knew City had come back, and they did. And what a performance from Kevin De Bruyne. I hope that people got on what Fred was saying, the boss Fred Doan, about backing De Bruyne to score the first goal, because he did tremendously well in that. It was just a brilliant performance, and the second goal was just the winning goal was just out of this world. We had 500 people were on at 18-1 for City to win 3-2, and lots of people piled on Kevin De Bruyne to score any time. I was slightly disappointed he didn't start the game, but who are us to tell that supreme manager Guardiola who to start with, because that worked like a dream. It was absolutely tremendous. How he just sort of passed it into the net from that distance was just out of this world. He clearly is the best footballer or the best midfielder in the whole world at the moment.
Yeah, to be out for that long and to literally turn a game on its head like that. Like you say, the first goal he scored, I don't think any other players would even try what he did, because it didn't even look on, did it, to just feed it through the defender's leg like that. It was unbelievable vision from him. That
it was. I can't speak highly enough of this guy, and you think about, he's 32 years of age, and he's continually the best player in the City team, which is a good team anyway, of course. And you think of the managers who've let him go in the past, like Mourinho at Chelsea. He must be ripping his hair out about this. Incredible performance by this guy, and he sort of like outshines one of my favourite players, Phil Foden, because he's in a similar sort of role, and Phil Foden must look at him and think, well, how good have I got to get to beat him to stay in the team, or to take his position as a number 10 in the City team.
And where do you think he stands in terms of like all-time Premier League midfielders now? Do you think he's in the conversation with people like Paul Scholes and Steven Gerrard already, or do you think he's got a bit to go?
I think he's ahead of them. I think he's that good. He's just the City team is full of stars, and he's the star of the stars.
Yeah, I think it speaks volumes how unbelievable that City team is, and he's still head and shoulders above all of them, isn't he, really?
He is. I've looked at the PFA Player of the Year for this season, and amazingly, he's in there he's in 6th place at 20-1 at Betfred to win the PFA Player of the Year. The favourite is Rodri. Now, he's another one. Talk about unsung hero. He really, really makes an impact in that City team. He is the absolute steel in the team. He's the tank commander to Kevin De Bruyne being the sniper. Yeah. So we've got Rodri at 9-4 favourites at Betfred to be the PFA Player of the Year, followed by Haaland at 12-5. Salah's 9-2. Declan Rice is 11-2. Trent Alexander-Arnold, he's 9-1. Then we've got De Bruyne at 20-1. Silva at 25-1. Saka 25-1. And Phil Foden 40-1. And Alvarez 50-1. And anyone who's been following that list closely will realise that 6 of the top 10 players in that list that Betfred have got going in this particular market are from Manchester City. And that says it all. And of the United players, Bruno Fernandes 200-1. Rashford, 500 to 1. Who'd have thought that?
Yeah. Well, I think he'd have been a bit higher up, Rashford, if he'd have had a decent start to this year, but he just looks a shadow of his former self, doesn't he? But just touching on Manchester City, just looking at the Premier League table now, they are now 2 points off Liverpool, and it's looking like it could be a 3, 4, maybe even 5 horse race for the title. It's very close up there.
I don't see it as that. I think it's going to be City to win, and then it's going to be a race for the other positions. Yeah. I mean, City are head and shoulders above everybody else. Betfred certainly think that. We've got City as 8 to 13 to win the Premier League, followed by Liverpool at 13 to 5, Arsenal 7 to 1, Aston Villa. They can only draw at Everton. They're 25 to 1. Tottenham 28 to 1, and my team Manchester United, well, 300 to 1 now for the Premier League, so they're on the slide, and you do wonder about which way that club is going at the moment, because they have an half decent performance vis-a-vis Wigan, and I mean a half decent, and then they play one half effectively against Tottenham, and they looked like they were getting close to being the best again, and then second half they were just at well below par performance, and in front of the new bloke, Mr. Ratcliffe.
Yeah, I don't think he'll have been too happy with that. Obviously, United drawing 2-2 with Tottenham at Old Trafford, and like you say, they were leading at half time, but I'm not even sure they deserved to go into the break leading anyway, because Spurs were creating chances, they were causing us problems, and even Timo Werner was getting a few chances, and not many teams will sort of allow that, and it was just defensively, it was just, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. With the defending on corners was just like Sunday League level. It was just every time Spurs got a corner, they looked like scoring. And the second goal, the Bentancur goal, it's just simple. Just track your man. He just let him go, and I just have a shot.
They got out muscled effectively, and that's put something that Erik ten Hag's picked up on. He said that the players need to man up, and they didn't look strong at the back. They looked slightly better when they brought on Martinez near the end, but he isn't like a muscular player. I mean, I hate to admit it, but you do wonder whether they're missing Maguire.
Yeah,
and that was an interesting little debate that went on afterwards on Sky, where they were talking about whether Maguire was a target of Manchester City. If he'd have gone to City, he'd have improved as a player. Gone to United, he's deteriorated as a player, and that brings us nicely round to the fact that all things are going to be happening at United between now and the end of the season, and it's significant he hasn't bought anybody yet, which suggests that they might be having second thoughts about who's going to be the manager next season, and Erik ten Hag has basically got to win the FA Cup and get into those top slots. There is talk now that it could be the top 5 who qualify for Europe, but certainly at the moment it's the top 4. United look way off that. In fact, we've got the odds for that top 4 slot. Betfred have United as 10 to 1 to make the top 4. We've got City, Liverpool, Arsenal and Aston Villa. They're all odds on for the top 4, with United at 10 to 1. So they're not even in the amongst the favourites for a top 4 finish. But I think Erik ten Hag has got to win the FA Cup.
Yeah, I think it's the last thing with us United fans have even got to hope for, really, isn't it? The FA Cup, and even then, back in 2016, Van Gaal won the FA Cup and he was sacked on the same day. So that might not even save his job, even if he was to win that, which is looking pretty unlikely anyway.
Yeah, he has come in as a disciplinarian in a similar style as Sir Alex Ferguson, but times have changed. He hasn't covered himself with glory with the Sancho situation, and from a business point of view, he's effectively lost a lot of money on that stance he's taken. But he has got a grip on other players, such as Rashford and others, and told them that they're not bigger than the club, and that's something that I know Roy Keane talks about a fair amount, as does Gary Neville. It's the club and the team that matters most, and in that respect he's done well. He has instilled a degree of discipline.
Well, it's nice to see a bit of discipline, like you say. Hopefully things can improve. But just sticking with the FA Cup that we mentioned, we've got a few FA Cup third round replays on Tuesday. One of them is Bolton and Luton. Bolton will be looking to make it through, and they're at home for that replay.
Yeah, they're playing Luton. That's going to be eagerly awaited by the Bolton fans and fans of the FA Cup in general, because Bolton have got a rich history in the FA Cup. So Bolton are 13-8 and Luton are 6-4. So that means Luton are the slight favourites. Bolton are 250-1 to win the FA Cup, and Luton 125-1. And we've got Dion Charles, who's a goal-scoring sensation at Bolton this season and previously, having signed from Accrington Stanley. He's 5-1 to score the first goal, and that is a half-decent bet, that. And then we've got another interesting tie on Tuesday, Eastleigh and Newport, and everybody knows why that's of interest, because the winners of that match play Manchester United in the next round, and if Eastleigh win, then there'll definitely be talks about whether it should be played on a neutral ground, because Eastleigh's ground isn't big enough. I think it only holds 5,500 or so. So United obviously get miles more than that, and certainly would want to see that game.
And they're obviously way out in the odds. Eastleigh to win the FA Cup, but you never know. We've seen crazier things.
Eastleigh are 5,000-1 to win the FA Cup. Newport 500-1. Eastleigh 5,000-1. People are laughing about that. I can hear them now, but that's the same price that Leicester were on to win the Premier League not so long ago. So strange things can happen.
Definitely. And just to finish, we've got a story on a winner who has won. He's won a cruise, much like the person we spoke about last week.
Yeah, we have got a great winner here. He's called Sean Cahill. He's a young fella from the Wirral, and he's a trainee football coach. He's on a course on football management. He had to give up his football career because of a head injury. He was born with a rare brain condition, but he reached the Tranmere under-15s team before he decided it was time for a change in his career path. Anyway, he's a Betfred regular. He goes in our shop at Rock Ferry on the Wirral, and he didn't actually put a bet on to win this. He effectively signed up for this Christmas promotion, where if it snowed at Christmas at Heathrow Airport, which it didn't, so that bet was null and void. And then it was if all the Premier League teams would score, and they didn't. So Fred Doan, the boss, decided he would still give away £5 million, and he's paid out on lots of cruises for our customers. And amongst those who was drawn out was Sean Cahill from Birkenhead. And I asked him who he was going to take on this cruise, and he said it's his girlfriend called Millie, who works as a shop assistant at Mataland. And I asked him where they met, and I couldn't believe it when he told me they met at Betfred, Rock Ferry shop. Right. They're on social media, and she said, well, where are you? And he says, I'm at Betfred's in Rock Ferry. So she rocked up there, and they've been together since May. He'd been putting on an accumulator in the shop. Anyway, I was telling Fred about this, and he's asked me to put out an appeal for any more romance at a Betfred shop. Yeah. And there'll be roses and other goodies on the way for the best people who come forward. So that's what we'll be doing in the next few days.
Yeah, that's a great story. I can't imagine there'll be many that have met in Betfred out there. But that's
the way that when I tour around the country writing about people who've won lots of money and other things, very often you do see a lot of people milling around, and it's like a community centre discussing the bets and things. So I think we might be surprised at that, and I think he might be paying out for quite a few roses.
Yeah, we might have uncovered something massive here, but we'll keep everyone updated on your findings.
Dreams come true at Betfred.
Yeah,
but maybe a different kind of dream.
Well, thank you very much as always for joining us, Peter. And if you do fancy a bet, you can bet online on the app or in Betfred stores, and you might even meet your match while you're in there. And thank you very much as always. We'll see you next week.
Tameside Radio Sports Talk with Betfred. Visit your local Betfred shop today for a variety of great offers, and check out our app for great features like Pick Your Punts Builder. Whenever you bet, Betfred. 18+, begambleaware.org.